So I'm looking at my script right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 stories that are just absolutely mind-blowing. So make sure you guys stick around. This might be our wildest MLB recap to date. And speaking of wild, you guys are crazy people. We gained over 1,000 subscribers yesterday because we're on the road to 200K before opening day. If you guys keep it up, we could get there by the end of tomorrow, which is my birthday. That would be the greatest gift of all time. So thank you guys for all of the recent support. I'm glad that you like baseball just as much as me. But I mean, what is happening in the baseball community? There's not very many good stories. I mean, there is one good story on the agenda today. So thankfully, Daniel Bard, you probably haven't heard that name in quite some time, but he is going to save the video towards the end with some good news. But we're going to go ahead and kickstart. You know Aristides Aquino? Yeah, the guy that set the record for most home runs in the first, I think, 11 or 12 games in his career. He was raking in 2019. I thought that he was going to be the next big thing for the Reds. And now, what is it, July 18th, 2020, the Reds cut him. And if you guys think I'm joking around, I'm not. Here's an official press release from the Reds Twitter account. So at first I was like, there's no way that this is possible. And I know that this is going to come as a surprise to most of you guys watching right now. And maybe if you're a Reds fan, you're thinking, what the heck are they doing? Now, I'll go ahead and provide some context. So he's going to be on an alternative summer camp. Now, I don't know if that means a taxi squad. I really don't know what that means because when they option a player, it's not like he can go to the minor league baseball club because there is no minor league baseball season. But when you have Nick Senzel, you have Nick Castellanos, Adam Duvall, who's getting a ton of money. You just signed Shogo, I think his name is Akiyama, and then you have Jesse Winker. There's no room at the inn. You have to go find a stable if you are Aristides Aquino. And the biggest reason why is because in his first 28 MLB games, he was Babe Ruth. He had a 1.170 OPS. He was electric. He set the record. He passed Rhys Hoskins and Will Smith for the most home runs in your first 10 or so games. He was electric. But then in his last 28 games, he had a 621 OPS. So he was pretty much Delino DeShields for his last 30 games of 2019. So that's exactly why he is not going to make the club. And that's crazy to say. I thought that he was going to be a surefire lock. So if you guys are surprised, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you make of this breaking news? Do you think that he's going to get another chance? Do you think that this Shogo guy from Japan, do you think he's going to be the real deal? I've heard reports that he's kind of a Adam Eaton player type. And I'm curious to see what he does. But yeah, crazy news. I literally just found out about this 5 minutes ago, which thank you. I did some research beforehand, but holy smokes, Aristides Aquino is not on the Reds? That's wild. Continuing on with the absolutely wild, out of left field, came out of nowhere news. Yasiel Puig, who just signed with the Atlanta Braves a few days ago. We reported it on the channel. It was a done deal, but I did not realize that it was pending on a physical because they might have had some inside information that he contracted the corona. And guess what? Yasiel Puig put out a post yesterday that he is in fact positive. And what does that mean? He is not going to be a member of the Braves. They literally gave him an Uno reverse card and they rescinded that contract. He will no longer be a member of Atlanta baseball for the 2020 season. So he might go to the Red Sox now. He might go to the Orioles. I cannot believe what I'm reporting today. I never thought I would have ever said that Yasiel Puig was going to fail the physical because he contracted what has really ruined 2020 and stolen a year from all of us watching this video. Like, we're never going to get these months back, which is really upsetting because all the baseball, all the fun that we could have been having just ripped away from us. Puig is now not going to be on a really good Atlanta Braves. I thought that really pushed them over the edge and made them a World Series contender. Now they're going to have to use Ender Inciarte and move around DHs and all that different stuff. So it's just, wow, absolutely mind-boggling, the first couple stories. And then also, we might as well add on top of it another, just like, what is happening story. I hope that you guys are at least enjoying it. Like, I know it's kind of a hosh-posh of a video today, but Domingo German, the guy who was kind of carrying the Yankees back in 2019, I think he actually led the American League with winning percentage, although that doesn't really matter because he wasn't very good, but he had some stretches of being amazing, in my opinion. As you guys can see by the highlights above, Domingo German was proven to be a pretty solid 4 to 5 starter if you're talking about the Yankees, because you pretty much know going into it, just like Coors Field, that pitching in Yankee Stadium, you're going to have a few, cheap home runs and RBIs every now and then, so your ERA is going to be a little bit inflated. So while he did have a career 4.53 FIP, which the below average is 4.4, so he's been below average for the majority of his career, he did improve in 2019, but just like Addison Russell, just like Aroldis Chapman, they're not the nicest people off the field, and that's what happened to German. He was 26 years old. He was ready to get a ton of money from the Yankees and be part of their dynasty for the next 5 to 6 years. But he decided to be a knucklehead, and at an MLB function, so there was a bunch of MLB personnel working there and attending the event, he did some not so great things to a person that he's involved with. Now again, I don't like to get too intimate with these details because I do think that it is a very touchy subject, no pun intended. But yeah, Addison Russell, he's not even in baseball anymore. He was once glorified, like one of the most liked players in baseball. He had some issues off the field. He's now playing in Korea or Japan, wherever he is. Chapman, I still don't know how he's playing baseball. He's like one of the only guys that, kind of slid under that because the person that he had issues with did not press charges. And then Domingo German, he's saying like, look, I gave the game of baseball everything I've had. He's been pitching since he was like 15 years old, so he considers that his 11-year professional career. And he's pretty much saying like, look, if I'm done, I'm done. You guys can't really say anything because I gave you all that I had in my gas tank. And I think his brother is an up-and-coming rapper. Maybe German is going to be the next Jose Reyes, who unfortunately is also someone that falls in the same category as Addison Russell and Aroldis Chapman and Domingo German, someone that is not the best person off the field. And I'm pretty sure that Jose Reyes is a very prominent rapper and musical artist nowadays. So I'm not saying that Domingo German's life is completely over, but it's just, it goes with the theme of the video. Aristides Aquino is cut. Never thought I would be saying that. Yasiel Puig signs with the Braves and now won't be on the Braves because he fails his physical due to a global pandemic. And then Domingo German, a 26-year-old, I would say, stud in the making, says, I'm done. I'm out. I gave baseball everything that I had and I'm done. Oh my gosh, today has been wild. And then last but not least, before we get into the good news from Daniel Bard, the fact that this man has not pitched since 2013 and he's coming back 7 years later to make his comeback. It's so exciting. I cannot wait to tell you guys the full details of that story. But the Rockies just admitted to pretty much wasting $106 million in relievers in the names of Wade Davis, Brian Shaw, and Jake McGee. Now, I will say that Wade Davis had a pretty solid 2018, which he set the record for most saves in Rockies franchise history. But the last 2 seasons, he made $34 million to have a 5.92 ERA. Brian Shaw, the last 2 seasons, had a 5.61 ERA and made $16 million. And then Jake McGee, he made $26 million to provide a near 5 ERA in 4 seasons with the Colorado Rockies. So they're all cut. They're not going to be on the squad anymore because I know those numbers don't add up to 106, but they're still going to be on the book for 2020. They're just cut. They're not going to be on the squad physically active for the Rockies. Now, I do want to read a quote which makes really no sense. This is from the general manager, British, of the Rockies. He says, there are a lot of examples, not just in the bullpen, but in our recent history and deeper in your history where players have come in here on free agent contracts and done very well. Okay, maybe name a few. I don't really know any. Maybe, I don't know, Mark Reynolds or Justin Morneau. Those are the only guys that I can think of off the top of my head. There's history of guys on our team and other teams coming in on free agent contracts and having some good seasons, having some really good seasons, and struggling during seasons as well. So I don't think there are any huge lessons that we're going to take and drastically move in one direction because we said goodbye to Jake and Brian. That's kind of nearsighted and a little bit ignorant to say considering you did lose out on almost $106 million. So yeah, what if you're a Rockies fan, what do you make of all this mess? Holy smokes. Now that's the bad news for Rockies fans. Good news for Rockies fans, talking about the bullpen yet again, is Daniel Bard is saving the vibe of today's video by providing some good news. His last game was the day before Nolan Arenado made his debut, which is crazy to say. From 2009 to 2011, I would say Daniel Bard was kind of a cheat code. He was throwing 101 miles an hour before it was really cool and before a bunch of people were doing it. He had a 2.0 2.88 ERA and an almost 10 strikeouts per 9 from 2009 to 2011. But then he developed the dreaded yips. He had an over 6 ERA in 2012, and then by 2013, I think he had an 18 walks per 9 or something insane like that, and a few appearances. He left the game. He couldn't figure it out, but in 2020, the Rockies said, "We got your back, and you can make your comeback." So props to Daniel Bard. I think that he deserves a like. So if you enjoyed that story, I mean, show some support. I really like Daniel Bard. I'm hoping that he comes back healthy. And then the final story of today, again, it's very strange, but it's only going to happen in the year of 2020. So we all know that the stadiums are going to be played in a empty crowd. There's not going to be anyone, no fans. So what they're going to do is they're going to take the game audio, the in-game audio from MLB The Show, and pump it into the stadiums. So when you're listening live, there's still a crowd-like atmosphere in the stadium. So I want you guys to let me know your comments on that. But yeah, an absolutely wild day. I know I wasn't as cheerful, but that's because the stories that we talked about today, they're very surreal and very serious. So I wanted to try and give a serious, vibe to the video. But thank you to Daniel Bard for saving the day with his comeback story. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. Do not forget to subscribe because we can get there before the end of tomorrow. I believe in you guys. But we'll go ahead and end the video with this day in Major League Baseball history. Was there anything cool? Willie Mays, we have a walk-off grand slam, a perfect game. If you guys missed out, here it is.
0-2, Wegener delivers. Mays hits it into left field. There goes number 3,000. Willie Mays gets his 3,000th base hit. Line to center field. Back is Edmonds to the